Hello and welcome to North Star Stamper. I'm Sue Kremer. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Minnesota, and I'm trying to find myself on my tablet. Half the fun of doing live videos is interacting with you. So when you find me, let me know you're watching. Welcome if it's your first time watching me. Let's see, where am I? I can't find it. Oh dear. No, let me keep looking. So we are talking, sorry, I'm distracted. We are talking about the Sand and Sea suite in the mini catalog, if you have your catalog handy. It starts on page 40, and I have most of the elements in the suite here to show you, and we'll be using them today. There we go. All right, let's see if anybody's here. Somebody's here. Hello, hello. So, I hope you find me online. I'm trying to expand where I am. If you didn't get my newsletter from me this morning, you can sign up through my blog here at northstarstamper.thesearemystamps.com, and there's a place for you to input your name and an email. Right now I'm sending them out every other week, so the first and third weeks of the month is when I tend to send them out. I don't want to overwhelm your inbox, but I do want to keep you informed of what's going on with Stampin' Up! And with me specifically. So let me know, or contact me directly if that's easier. So hello, thank you for joining me. So if you were with me a couple weeks ago, we talked about embossing paste, and I had shown you that you could just make a stencil out of a shape, and this happened to be a die cut. You could use a punch as well. And then I stamped in it, and it wouldn't dry. You can see it still isn't quite dry, and that was a week ago, I think, right? So I don't know what the answer is, but this was my finished card. I really like the silver with the purples. So that was just something for me to show you while we wait for people to join us. All right, so Sand and Sea. Let's see, I have a list of things to talk about. So Sand and Sea starts here on page 40, and I've heard people say they didn't like the suite because of the designer series paper, and I have to kind of agree with them, and I'll show it to you in a minute. I really don't care for the colors for a nautical themed suite. They're not the colors that I think of when I think of the sea. I was joking with someone that the designers live in Utah. They don't live near the sea, but maybe that's just me. But this suite is really awesome. Stampin' Up! Did something new that they have not done before, and I'm very excited about it. So the stamp set is called Friends Are Like Seashells. You can see down here, and I don't know if you can actually read it, it says images are at 75%. So when you get them, they come in two liners, and this stamp is actually this size, and I use a bigger block. This is the E block. I can't remember what they said, which block to use, but I find I get better coverage. So they are much bigger than they look like on here, and I can't remember. Sorry, I should go back and look in the catalog. Oh, they are full size in the catalog on page 42. So there's that stamp. So this is actual size. So, all right, so this stamp, and I love the sentiments. I'm buying more and more stamp sets just for the sentiments. You are unique and completely amazing. How many people would love to get a card? Love you to the beach and back, and I have that on a sample today. Friends Are Like Seashells. You collect them along the way, and then you can add, I'm so happy I found you. Happy birthday to my beautiful friend. For you, thank you, and wishing you the very best are the words. I've been using this as sand. I've heard other people say that that's supposed to be bubbles, but it's very fun, and I have quite a few samples to share with you. There is a die set that coordinates, and this is called Seaside Seashells. We'll leave that there. And this, so there's only 6 dies in here, and I have samples, and you'll see that they didn't give you just one die for each of the seashells. They gave you this, and I have one to demo for you, and we're going to stamp and die cut this seashell, but I have the others cut out already for our card that we're going to make. So I stamped that one with gray granite on Seaside Spray, Puddle Pink, Pool Party, and then this is actually, I stamped crumb cake on soft sea foam. I wanted each of them to be a different color, so we're going to use those on our project tonight. I'm going to put those in the stamp set so I don't lose them with all the things I have to show you. So that's kind of fun. I like the sand dollar too. And the sand dollar does have its own die. So this gives you all the, I guess, seaweed, and it leaves space for you to stamp on the stamps when you die cut it. There's also an embossing folder. Let me stand up and see if this gives it. It does do it justice. It is, I think it's a 3D. Yes, it's not flimsy. And wait till you see what this does. It is actually quite amazing because all of these things coordinate together. I don't know if you can tell. Let's hold it up. So the die coordinates with the die coordinates with the embossing folder. So you can get stamped, die cut, and embossed with this suite of products. It is the first time that Stampin' Up! Has ever done this, and it's actually quite impressive. So the other things in the suite are 2 different 12 by 12, and I have the 12 by 12s here to show you that yes, they are 12 by 12, but I have them cut down to 6 by 6. You can see better in the camera. Hello again. Thank you for joining me. This is the pearlized paper. It's really pretty. I haven't played with it, and it's pearl on both sides. So if you stamp and don't like your image, you can turn it over. A lot of times with specialty paper, it'll only be special on one side and just plain white on the other. But this is pearlized on both, and it's more of an ivory, or a very vanilla as we call it. You can see it is definitely not white, but it's more of an ivory color. And then these are the Designer Series paper. I don't think of pink or flirty flamingo when I think of seashells, or sand dollars, or yellow when I think of, anyway. But I've been using it a little bit, and I have some samples. They're pretty colors. That was one side. Here's the other. I do love the sand. And this one looks like a wash, and it kind of looks sand. It kind of looks like sea or water, or sky or water. Not sure where the red and yellow come from, and that one is really pretty. I wish there were more of that one. But of course, we could always watercolor our own background. We've talked about that enough. And you've seen this before. So when I first showed you this during my 12 days of Christmas, I got these colors from the catalog. And then once I got the actual paper, all the colors in the paper are listed on the backing sheet of the Designer Series paper, and they did not include Blushing Bride, so I've added that here. And then I added the pearlized paper too. I think that's what it's called. So those are the colors in the Designer Series paper. Now you'll see in my samples, I don't know that I used those colors much at all. I do like the Seaside Spray and the Sahara Sand. And the names of the ink and papers really go well with what you want to be doing. There are stickers as part of the suite. I didn't get them because I'm a stamper and I will die cut or punch things, so I don't buy stickers. I haven't since my kids were little, probably. Then the other thing are these opal rounds, and they're on page 41 if you want to look for them in your catalog. And let me stand up again. And they got like sparkly in them, so they're really fun. And I'll use my take your pick tool to get those onto my projects if I use them tonight. All right, so my samples. Well, first what I do when I get a new stamp that I'm not sure how it's going to look, I like to stamp on neutral paper in lots of different colored inks, so you can see how big some of these are. So this was my first attempt at Early Espresso, and it looked lighter than Soft Suede. And I know it's actually supposed to be darker, so I re-inked my pad, and you can see how dark the Early Espresso really is. And then without re-inking, I stamped, and I call that -1 if you ever see my notes. I think these colors, especially the Rococo Rose and Blushing Bride, are more, and Petal Pink, are more accurate for what the shells would look like in real life. I like things to be more realistic when I stamp them. So I will keep this with my stamp set and dies just to have a base so I know what colors I might want to stamp in. So that was the first thing I did. I'll just put that to the side. And then I got creating. So this, let's see. This one I used the blender pens, and I have those handy if we want to use them. And this is Seaside Spray with the coordinating ribbon. And there's my notes. Seaside Spray, Balmy Blue, and Sahara Sand are what I used. And there I stamped that speckle image, and so it looks like sand. And I just used a piece of scrap paper to get my horizon there. So, and then I'll show you how to die cut the individual shells. Actually, that one I think I cut by hand because the words are quite just a touch bigger than that seashell. But so there's one card. Oh, my image is bad again. Let's see. Let me move some of this stuff and see if it improves. I know I want this. Oh, it's really bad. Maybe if I leave, and I'm gonna, I'll just talk about my samples and then go back in. Sometimes when I'm watching other people's live videos, they freeze and then I have to leave and come back in. So let me see. Is anybody else having trouble with my image today? Please let me know. I haven't done anything to correct it because when I watch the replay, it's always fine, especially on a computer. So let me know if you're having trouble. So here I die cut, and I believe that was very vanilla. I don't have my notes. And then I stamped, and then I embossed. So can you see? I wish you could feel that that is actually raised. Yes, it is blurry. Sorry, Kathy. Is it better? Well, let me see if it's better on mine, because I went out and came back in. I left Facebook completely. So, oh gosh. You know what? Let me move you up higher. Maybe I'm too close. And then you see more of my mess up here in the corner, but that's okay. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the answer is. I'll go quick and then I won't keep you so long. Here's one where I used a different product, and we'll talk about coordinating products in a minute. Designer Series paper, a different embossing folder. I made my own by stamping in a bunch of blue, and that didn't help, did it? Me raising the camera. Maybe it needs to be lower. Hold on, let me take you down for a ride so that it can actually focus. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the answer is. Okay, so, and I use the banner punch, obviously, and so these are each 2 inches wide, and it's a top folding. Then I use just a scrap, because I had this at 5.5, and so I had a 1/2 inch, and that's where I use my 1/2 inch, so nothing goes to waste, and used a variety of blue inks on that. Oh, sorry, that didn't help either. I don't know what to tell you, whether if you don't watch my lives and come back and watch it later. This one I just used the embossing folder, and then I used sponges to add some color to it. You can see what the different images are. Lots of different die cuts. This one I did no stamping on this one. So it's die cut and embossed. And then I added the inks. I think this one I used a sponge, and the sponge was too big and I got a little carried away there. So those are my samples. And I went through the catalog, the annual catalog, and found these other products that coordinate really well. Oh, there. My video seems to be better. Is it better for you, I hope? Okay, so I need to keep that lower. So I have Whale of a Time. So I grabbed anything that was nautical or sea related. These, seaweed, I guess you'd call it, and the coral would be fun. I don't know about the size of some of these with the size of the shells. Maybe the little shells would coordinate, but to have a little whale with a big shell, see, the whale is smaller than this shell, so sizing would be kind of funny, but the other things in the sentiments might work. Next we have Sailing Home, and the coordinating die is called Smooth Sailing Dies, and there's 12 dies in here. And the one I specifically thought would work well is this die that is seaweed. Of course, the shapes for your sentiments would work as well. And the other thing I thought that would be really fun to play with, this piece gives you like a rope, so it's really pretty. If you've probably seen it. I die cut it in soft suede or crumb cake, and then I use a sponge to make it look like it's aged. So that's pretty fun. So those would coordinate well. And High Tide is another nautical one. I thought the birds, just to give a nautical more options. Ooh, the Let Hope Be Your Lighthouse Beckoning You Through Stormy Seas. That would be fun with a bunch of seashells and dark colors. And here's an embossing folder, and this coordinates with the Whale of a Time suite. That's in the annual catalog on page 94. I made a note of that. So this is the one I used in that one sample. So, all right. Anne says she left Facebook and went back in and is better. I think I had the camera too high. And anyway, so if you have these, or if you're looking for other things to coordinate with your sand and sea, all right, I want to make a card with you. I also had a suggestion, I'll just mention this now, for the gilded leafing, and I just got it and I opened it today and I played with it, but this I'd like to play with more before I use, so I won't use it on a project. So we'll do this next Monday. Just real quick, I just used a piece of tear and tape along a piece of cardstock and put it on. I'll show you how I did this next Monday. Here I just used a glue dot. You can see the glue dot folded over, so it's not a circle right now, but this will be really fun to play with. It's a little messy. And so these two, I just used adhesive that I had. I didn't have anything special other than adhesive, which you have if you make cards. So we'll do this next Monday, all right? Anne was the one that suggested that. Okay, so let's make a card. And I'll show you how to die cut with this. And I have not... Okay, so we're going to use these pieces. This one I just cut by hand. I don't think there's a die for the starfish. We can add that to there. We're going to use this. It's Sahara sand. And I have not played with these. They look like blobs that color in the seashells. Just because I've used colored paper. So I haven't played with that at all. I want this one. And I have one blocks right here. Is that big enough? That should work. All right, remember I need my extra pieces here to stamp. Still, I haven't gotten a new table. It's a photopolymer stamp, so we're going to use the Stampin' Emboss. No, it's not Stampin' Emboss. The piercing mat. All right, and this, and this. And what color should we make it? That's gray granite. How about soft suede? Oh, I think that's soft suede. I don't know that they need to be all different. Let's do cinnamon cider. We'll get a darker color in there. So this is one of our in colors. All right, so we're doing better. Thank you for being patient with me. Oh, that is better. You think? I don't know. So I'm just going to stamp. I'm going to hold and push. Oh, nice. Isn't that pretty? Makes me want to go to the beach. Although, I don't know how many people. We have a few people watching. Stay safe out there. I had the news on, and things are really bad across the country weather-wise. Oh my gosh. Things shut down, and I saw an image from Times Square, and you couldn't see the tops of the buildings. It was so snowy. So this is going to be a little funny. I'm going to put these out of the way because I do need to use my big machine because this die is so large. So we're going to get that. Let me get this all together first. So I need my base plate. It's a thin die. So I need the thin die adapter. And then I know I need 2 plates. So I'm going to put one down and the other one's ready to go. And I'm going to take, notice I don't have a full piece here. It's just a small piece. And I'm going to line it up just so. And I can't think. There we go. Just like, I had it. Just like that. And I'm going to use a piece of washi tape to hold it in place. Right now we don't have a magnetic plate. We had one and it warped so bad they pulled it off. And they actually gave me a refund for it. So I'm going to run this through my big machine. That die is too wide to go through the mini machine, so I have to use the big one. And just to be sure, I'm going to go back the other way. My plates aren't flat. Well, that one's not too bad. You see this plate is pretty bowed, so it took a little effort to get it through the machine. And that is normal. I mean, just using your machine, they are consumable, the dies. Okay, I mean the plates. So when I cut it, just here, let me pull one of our cards back. So this is the one I just die cut. And it comes, I mean, I just, that piece right there. We're going to put this out of the way. Where do I want it? And so you need to take scissors and then cut these other pieces off. And this is exactly why I did the other shells. So I'm just trimming away that excess. Almost done. I didn't want you to have to watch me do all of them. And there's our die. I didn't get it quite centered. I think I wasn't patient enough because I didn't want to take any more of your time than I need to. But you get the idea. It's pretty easy to do. A little putsy because I had to stamp and then die cut each of them separately. Oh, wait. I'm not done. I'm not done with my machine. Let me bring this back. I saw this. I was looking on Pinterest just to get inspired. And I saw, and let me know, you may have seen this too. Let me bring all these back. So I'm going to use this die again. And I have a piece of vellum. Oh my gosh, this was so pretty. So I'm just going to die cut. Let me get it set up first. You can't see. So hopefully this is the right size. Not quite. You know what? I do want to make sure it's big enough. Sorry. So it is a little, it should fit because that's going to fit on a card. Oh, it will. All right. I take that back. I don't need to cut another piece. So I'm just going to put that down. This is just vellum. And I need line those all up. Do I have that the right way? I do. My plates just aren't. Cracking is normal. I remember the first time I used my other die cut machine, it cracked and I thought I had broken it. And I called Kristen. I'm like, Kristen, what's going on? So there. Oh, I should have done it twice. Is it coming away? Guess I should have played first. Nope. See, this is why I usually have things ready so you don't have to watch. But we will try again. So not all of it cut. I think because my plates weren't flat. Let me grab a different plate. I have a flatter plate. So it pays to have good quality products, right? Oh, there, I can tell it's cutting. I hope this worked because I don't want to have to take your time. I always feel like I'm in a rush. I don't know why. It's a fine, happy medium between being in a rush and not taking your time. And you took the time to be here, and so I should show you things. It didn't cut quite right. I should have done one ahead. But you get the idea. Take that off. There's our die. Oh, isn't that pretty? Clean up, clean up, clean up. Sorry, I'm not watching comments. I get distracted when I get busy. Okay, I think we're good. And my picture's nice. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love it. I love it. I was very excited. And then to have it all coordinate. Should we try? Oh, that didn't come out. That's why I redid it. It was this piece right here. I must not have had it. Oh, maybe it was off the plate. I wasn't paying attention. Let me grab my take your pick tool. Shouldn't have to do this with these dies, but that's right. You know what? We'll put ribbon or something to cover that up. But you get the idea. I have been loving the Misty Moonlight cardstock. It's one of our in colors, so it's been around half a year. No. When did it come out? June? I don't remember. We have another year with it, and so our annual catalog is going to be coming out in early May. As a demonstrator, I will get to see it in early April. It's one of the benefits of being a demonstrator. And so we'll have some in colors retiring, the ones that came out 2 years ago. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then we're going to adhere these on here. And I think I will put my sentiment down here to cover that up because that isn't quite. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do because adhesive does show through vellum, and right now I don't think Stampin' Up! Has any adhesive that does not show through vellum. Other companies do, but I try to show you Stampin' Up! Products. So I'm going to use mini dimensionals, and I put all these onto that piece of vellum. So what do you think of this suite? I'm very curious. Oh, and you're talking about when things don't go perfectly as planned. It makes you feel better. That's okay. I always try to show you ways to, not correct it, but ways to work with it. Like when you stamp something and it isn't quite right, turn the cardstock over. And that's where you learn to not adhere things before so that you can turn it over. All right, so one more. This is a big stamp. It's so pretty. I don't know the names of these shells. I should probably learn them. That'd be kind of fun. I'm not looking over, so I think this one goes there. Thought about adding some gold leafing on here. We could do that, but how are we doing on time? I always try to keep it to about a half hour. It goes there in this little baby one. All right. That goes there. So lots of ideas. You've seen that I've used sponges and blending brushes to add color. The dye, or the embossing, adds texture too. Let's see, what are we missing? I think I'll add, you know what? I could add that there. Cover up my less than neat cut. Obviously it's bugging me or I wouldn't keep going back to it. Oh, that's not so bad. Where'd that take? See, take your pick tool is good for lots of things. Oh, there we go. That works. Maybe we'll put the starfish on the inside. Okay, so that's adhered just to the vellum, and now I know where I can put adhesive. And I'm not going to add another layer. I'm going to use some seal. Right on those. would, yeah, I think we will. We're gonna center that. I think maybe it does need a couple glue dots up there. Let's see. I think we'll put a glue dot and I'll show you that you can see it through the vellum. And then that's where we'll put our sentiment. This is okay down here. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to use my take your pick to pick up a glue dot. I'm going to put it right there. And if you can see, I put it right there on the back side. And then, so you can see it there, right here. All right. I could put this here to cover it up. That would work too. I don't know. I kind of like that as well. All right. And let's find a sentiment. And I didn't plan this far ahead, so I don't have paper cut and ready to go. This works. I think I like this. Let's stamp first. So I'm going to stamp on here. I need my sturdy board and my embossing. And what do we want this to say? You are unique and completely amazing, isn't it? Let's see. You are unique. And a block. I'm going to use a long block. Really wish we had a block that was like half that length for sentiments like this. And we will use Misty Moonlight ink. This is Seaside Spray cardstock, by the way. Getting lots of different colors in here. Ink, 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 ink. I don't think my head got in there. Oh, nice. So there's our sentiment. We won't do anything fancy. We'll just cut it into a rectangle. Of course, you can use a punch. You could die cut it. You could do lots of things, but to keep the focal point on. Sorry, that was probably blurry, wasn't it, when I put the, oh goodness. Oh boy, this is a mess. I'm glad you can't see too much of it. All right, where is this gonna go? I do want to trim that some more. It's too big. You covered up that pretty shell. Let's cut the other side too. All right, sorry. It probably got blurry. Oh, it is blurry again. All right, this can use some dimensionals. You notice I didn't use any ribbon. I didn't use any bling. I could use some of those opals. We'll find those. I see them on the table. And I'm actually going to cover that up nicely. And we'll put a layer on the inside. I did have one of those cut somewhere in my pile. Oh, here's the Whale of a Time, I think it's called. You can see I've used some of it. But a lot of this would work really well with this. Oh, wouldn't that go? Sorry, that one would look really nice. You could use those together. And this is the one that I used on that one sample. You could use this one. See, there's lots. Oh, that would be cute. So that's the Whale of a Time Designer Series paper, and that is a 6x6 paper. Sorry, I just saw that in my pile and thought you should see it. All right, back to finding a... Oh dear, where did it go? This works. I'm gonna have to trim it down. I thought I had a layer piece ready to go, but I don't. 5 1/4 by 4. You know what, let's stamp on there too while we can, because we have the stamps out. And I have to get everything back. This is one of the suites that I knew I had to get when I saw it in the catalog. Okay, stamps, ink, and paper. Let's just do a couple of these little ones. We'll use crumb cake. I think that's a good color for a shell, don't you? It's kind of funny. You know what? We're going to put them in the corners. Why not? If I was thinking ahead, I would have had an envelope handy. I would stamp on that too. But I don't know why. They're not too far away, but... So before I put my stamps and ink away, I will stamp on an envelope. So they are all coordinated. All right. Put this on the inside. Not the greatest stamping. I don't know why I hurry. There's that. Let's put this in there too. Right there. There's the inside of our card. There's the front of our card. Oh, we need some opals. These are really glittery. I like them. I like them. I think I'm going to need more. So using my Take Your Pick tool, I'll use the putty end. I had not used this till a little while ago, and I like the small ones here. So you just pick it up with the putty end. And where do we want them? We'll just place them here and there. Let's use the big one. I say to put things in odd numbers and in a triangle format. So one right there. There we go. There's our card. What do you think? Let me bring all of our samples back. Here, I'll bring this. Put some things away. I think this one's really pretty. That might be my favorite. Simple. Embossed. Oh, embossed and die cut. Just embossed and die cut. I wish you could see the dimension on there, the detail. It's very pretty. Happy stamping. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you didn't get my newsletter this morning, contact me and I'll send you a copy because I do have some product shares still available. I'm starting to put more card ideas in my newsletters, so that'll be something there with dimensions of all the layers and whatnot, so you can learn from my newsletter. So thank you for joining me. Happy stamping. And I'm sorry for the video quality. I'm not sure what the answer is. Oh, I have an idea. I think I have a setting on my phone that I'm using to record, and maybe that is what I need to change. So thank you for putting up with the less than perfect picture quality. So happy stamping. And we'll be using the gilded leafing next Monday. It is on back order right now, but it should be back available next Monday. So that's another reason I decided to put that off till next Monday. Happy stamping. Thanks for joining me. Bye.